everyone, I'm Vana from TBR Trio, and in this episode of Tales in Focus, we are at Sweet Nothings Book Co. in Baltimore, Maryland. Today, we're sitting down with Brandy Stoker, a fantasy romance author who creates dark dystopian worlds, focusing on themes like love, resilience, and self-discovery. Before we dive in, please note that the books we'll be discussing contain mature and potentially triggering themes. We encourage our viewers to always read the content warnings in the books before reading and or listening. Last but not least, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe so you don't miss any of our upcoming author interviews. It is free, and it does really help us a lot. It's the best way to support TBR Trio. Now, please join me in welcoming Brandy. Thank you so much for being here with us today.
Thank you for having me.
How are you doing?
Doing well.
Are you ready?
Yes,
Awesome.
definitely.
Well, before we dive into all the good details and insights that you may have for us, I have a couple icebreaker questions for you, just to kind of loosen you up, get your wheels turning here.
Sounds good.
You're hosting a dinner party with 3 of your characters. Who is invited and how does it go wrong?
So, obviously, Malin and Will would be definitely easy ones. The third one is where we have the challenge, because Elwyn is Malin's mother, doesn't really know her very well and not really as comfortable with her, so that probably would be a challenge. And Z and Ellie are, kids, so wouldn't want to have them.
Yeah.
But Lady Anriel is probably the next best choice. She's Elven royalty, so good chance she's got some really good stories to tell.
Okay.
But I'm sure there'll probably be some faux pas of the Elven ways and customs that maybe might not go over as well.
I'm here for all of the drama. I am here for all of it. Okay, next question. If your hero and villain had to team up for a modern day reality show, which show would it be?
So I always used to watch Amazing Race. So I can imagine Amazing Race would be the show. Nemilios is the villain, and he is in Journey, and he would be all for behaving himself long enough to get the money because he's a pirate. So obviously, pirates like money.
Yes.
So he would probably do fairly well at trying to behave himself. I think Will would still try to kill him one way or the other. So I'm not sure how far they would get to the end before they die.
I mean, money is a pretty good motivator, if you ask me.
Will doesn't necessarily care as much about the money as much as he enjoys just righting some wrongs that Will sees as wrong.
That makes sense.
And Emilios is definitely one of those wrongs that Will would not have a problem killing.
All right. Well, I would love that's an episode I would watch. All right, last question here. Which of your characters would absolutely cheat at board games, and how would they cheat?
Well, given the fact that Will grew up as a thief and in the slums, and board games are one of those things that he thinks are kind of meaningless, and he would easily cheat, steal, do whatever he needs to win that one because he enjoys winning.
What a sore winner.
Well, he's got his own little rights and wrongs that he likes to follow, and so he would definitely be the one who was cheating, board game wise.
Right, noted. I will not play with him, but that's good to know. All right, awesome. Let's talk a little bit about you. So tell us about yourself and what inspired you to become an author.
So I have been writing since I was in middle school, and as a writer, I've been writing for decades. Obviously, I've only recently published, so as an author, it's only been recent. But what inspired me to become a writer is I just devour books, but I also have a ADD brain where I can kind of figure out what the plot is going to be, and I can pretty much tell you what's going to happen before the end of the movie or book, and it drives me nuts. So I like to try to read or write something that I would enjoy reading because I won't be able to tell when the what's going to happen next. And so I like
Okay.
to try to write a book that I would enjoy reading.
And wouldn't be able to guess what
Right.
happens right away. Interesting. So does that make you like a plotter, or does that you kind of write as you go? How does
So
that work?
I am organized chaos.
Love it.
So I have multiple series that I have actually written that I haven't obviously published yet, and all of them are intertwined.
Mhm.
So this is the beginning stages that would be the easiest way to get into the series.
Mhm.
So as far as plotting goes, I start with a kind of the ideas of what I need to get into each of the books and kind of the overarching goal of the book. And then I build characters and I build real characters. I have, the personality tests. I know exactly what the person is going to do. I can tell you exactly how they would think, and they're real to me. And so once I've made them real, then I kind of expand that plot that I've put together
Mhm.
and kind of adjust it accordingly
Yeah.
to kind of make it into a plot that is believable and real and something that that person would actually do.
That makes sense. So you're kind of like the plot is built around the characters
Right.
and that okay, that's nice. That's a nice balance. So how do you think of the storylines? Like does it come to you like in a dream? Most authors say that they does appear to them in a dream, or does it come like just randomly on a Tuesday afternoon or
So I have various ways. I have actually had storylines that came to me in dreams, but I have overarching ideas of. So I have a world that I've been building since middle school. So it's the same world, and from beginning stages of this world to the end of times,
Mhm.
and I have different areas of the world, and I have different stories for each area, and I have. Uh, I have that. So I kind of have a storyline that needs to follow that, and kind of how can I get the entire story out there,
Yeah.
and so that's what I have.
That makes sense. That makes sense. So what would you say is your favorite part about the writing process? Do you like to draft or
Drafting is
drafting?
definitely my favorite part.
Really?
Oh
Okay.
yeah, I have a vivid imagination,
Wow.
and
That's
I
not a common answer. You know, a lot of authors say that they love to edit because they're the right it's already on paper and they don't have to like think too hard about it.
no, I have so many ideas, and I like to get the story out there and get it out of, because once it's out of my head, I can stop thinking about it because
Fair.
I'm one of those who will think and obsess over it until I can finally get it all out. So drafting it is one of the most, it relieves my brain cavity the
Yeah.
most by actually being able to get it out there. Editing, yeah, that's, you got to be able to get the story where readers are going to enjoy it, but drafting is what I really
Wow, that's great. I think like you're one of the first people to tell us that you love to draft,
love.
which is awesome because like that's the part where you're making it up, right? That's
Right,
your it's like
exactly.
coming out of your brain and into paper.
Exactly.
So that's really cool. All right. I admire you for saying that drafting is your favorite. So your books are fantasy romance. So what inspired you to go into that specific genre?
So I started off actually in middle and high school reading historical romance. And I read a lot of historical romance at the time, and then I started into some little bits of fantasy, Wrinkle in Time, and things like that.
Mhm.
And then as I got into that, I started realizing how much I loved fantasy and I love being able to step outside into a different world. And so then I started kind of heading that direction. And so the stories ended up going more the fantasy romance direction beyond that.
That's awesome. But your books, they're like more dark dystopian, right?
Right.
So what inspired you to kind of take that route and go there?
So I have a fantasy world. That this world is the planet is actually called Mordovia,
Mhm,
and that's future series book. But Mordovia is the world that Aloria and Media are part of,
mhm,
and the overarching life of this world has just there's so many pieces to it
Yeah.
that you kind of you have to have this one city that is non-magical,
Mhm.
and then there has to be a reason why this city is non-magical. And
Mhm.
so i I tried to create a world that made sense.
Mhm.
And um, I, I believe the media city is dystopian,
Mhm.
as just because it's a very technical world, but magic can't work. My magic can't work where technology is
Mhm.
very
Mhm.
well. And so, uh, so the combination is where we get the dystopian part of it.
This sounds very interesting, and we'll be talking about more details of your book in a minute. But I love that surface level description of your books. It sounds very interesting. In your experience, what do you think makes readers want to read romantic fantasy, and specifically like that dark dystopian fantasy?
Well, as far as for me, I prefer to read books that help me to escape, but also give me some hope. And so I believe the romance part of it kind of gives people hope that there is a hope that they will be able to find love and find a solid relationship, which in some cases is very hard to find that relationship. And so, but at the same time, fantasy allows us to be in a different world, and this world has enough kind of chaos in it
Mhm.
that you kind of having a place to escape gives you that kind of so that brings people into that fantasy world.
Yeah, yeah, and that's awesome because it's kind of like what we were saying earlier. Fantasy is what you make of it. And anything
Exactly.
goes. Like how you were saying, there's a planet that there's no magic allowed because it's very
Right.
technology heavy, and you make that up, right? Of course,
Right.
you can go the other direction and say, no, we'll
Mhm.
have both, but you want that complex, you want those
Exactly.
obstacles, which is fantastic. I love that. Um, how much research would you say goes into your books? Because fantasy is very complex, like we were
Right.
saying, and to build like the world that you did, it takes a lot to
It
build.
does take a lot.
Yeah,
World building is one of the reasons why I struggled publishing for so long, was
really.
because I've got several books that are kind of more epic fantasy type, very deep world building, but I didn't feel that I really could get the reader into my world without major info dumping.
Mhm,
So I actually came up with this series as a way of kind of slowly getting my readers into this fantasy world and helping them get to know it. It's kind of like the frog in the pot. As it gets hot, it's so we start in a non-magical
mhm.
world, and we um, end up in a very magical world as we get farther into the book. And then into the next series we will be heavily into the magical world
Yeah.
that we have. So
Well, it's always important, when someone is starting a new fantasy book, you have to ease your way into it, right?
right.
Of course, people don't want like a bunch of information like in the first 20 pages because they're like, okay, I don't
Exactly.
really know what's happening. So it is important to like find that balance of.
Right. And yeah, since I've been building this world since for so long, I know this world, and
Mhm.
so it's very difficult for me actually, because I know exactly all the details, and I can go into so much detail about
Yeah,
these stories
yeah.
that the reader would definitely not be interested in. So I sometimes need to pull myself back and
Mhm.
realize what it is that the reader really needs to know in this
Yeah.
particular area. So
Do you have like a map on your wall that like kind of pinpoints all the plots and character?
I have lots of whiteboard kind of
Your office is just full of whiteboards.
yes, it's pretty much, yeah, it's lots of different those post-it
Yeah,
sticky ones that
yeah.
are they're all over the place. So
That is very interesting. I always see authors on social media that they share like their walls or like their sticky notes and stuff. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is like a level of organization and like structuring. And I don't know how you guys do it.
Well, so what's funny is I haven't actually put a lot of that on paper. Most of it is up here because
Uh-huh.
I've been building it for so long. And so actually, it's only been the last couple years that I've actually started really writing that down. And I have a OneNote that I've got my entire world Bible, I think a story Bible
Yeah.
in. So it's pretty detailed.
Yeah, yeah, but that's good. Sometimes like we need that. It feels like we're right there with like actually in the story. We feel it, we hear it, we smell whatever you're
Yes,
describing.
yes.
So it's important too. It is important, but it's also important to not like overpower. It's really just to find that balance.
Right.
Um, is there anything in the books that like is there any of your personality or anything of your characteristics that influence maybe the characters or the setting of the book?
So Malin is very much like me personality
And
wise.
she's the main
She's the
character.
main character. I'm slightly autistic with ADD, so she has that same kind of those challenges. Um, uh, so, for instance, they get these soul bonds, and so she doesn't think that that can possibly be real. It's not logical.
Uh-huh.
And so she has to start questioning things, and how can that possibly be?
Yeah.
And so it's even though they get the bond, just because it's fated doesn't necessarily mean it's fated.
Ooh,
So
okay. Okay, that's something for us to think about here. You are you are a self-published author,
I
right?
am.
And you published these books not too long ago.
Right.
I think your first book was 2024.
Right. December 2024.
Right. So, oh my gosh, so it's only been like 10 months since you've been
Right.
publishing. How has that journey been for you?
It has definitely been very the uh the Blue Haven book. I've written probably 20 books in different various levels of completeness. But publishing things, I was always afraid to let people read my work.
Mhm.
And so I shared it with, a friend here, a friend there, but they're not like fantasy readers, or that's not their genre. So they were like, oh yeah, that's nice.
Yeah.
And so I never really got the vibe that, maybe this was a good story and maybe other people would like to read them. And so I had a fantastic therapist who he really encouraged me to be able to visualize things, and that's when I came up with Blue Haven. And um, so I decided to go ahead, and when they just kept telling me how much they loved it and how much they wanted to see more of it, I decided to go ahead and, maybe I'll start cleaning up some of my other series and see how
Yeah.
they go, and give that a try. And so they really helped me to be able to feel that confidence and feel that, like, my self-worth enough to feel like I could actually share, because these are a piece of me,
Yeah, of
and be
course.
able to share that piece of me. So
Yeah, I mean, like the books are like your children, right? They're
exactly.
your heart and soul, and to put it out there, it's a little intimidating. So
Right.
I completely understand that. And Blue Haven was your first published book, correct?
Right.
And it was more of it's a cozy is it cozier?
It's a feel good love story.
Yeah.
It's more of a therapy book, because it actually uses documented therapeutic techniques to help find
Ooh.
self-worth. And so she has to go through all the stages and steps that a person would need to go to if they're in a toxic environment, and they need to be able to kind of help themselves get out of that.
Mhm.
And sometimes you don't have people to help you get out of that. You have to find your way on your own.
Right.
And that's where I was. So I needed to find a book that would help me be able to see it, because if I can see it, I can make it happen.
That's
And
right.
so that's what Blue Haven was for me. It was my opportunity to help show myself that I could actually find that value in myself.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I love
So,
that. And I love that message. It's amazing. It really is a symbol of the start of your career, and it's I'm sure helping so many people. And the
yeah.
fact that you wrote it with your therapist knew about it,
Right.
that's
Yeah,
awesome.
they were giving me feedback and helping me to ensure that I had the right techniques, and if they gave me something to do and said, this is what you need to be doing, I was like, well, this is what she's going to be doing. And so a lot of those benefits that I found for myself, I made sure that my character got to have too.
That's awesome. I love that. And we're going to be talking a little bit more about Blue Haven in a minute here, but I do want to ask you, is there anything you would do differently from, it's only been 9 months. So it's like, is there anything that maybe you notice that you're like, maybe we won't do that next time?
Well, I would say publishing sooner would probably be the biggest thing I would be doing in my journey, in my author journey,
Yes.
because if I had just felt like putting myself out there and sharing my work, I think I would. I mean, the fact that like Escape from Media is currently at 4.8 with over 200 reviews
That's fantastic.
is fantastic. It
Yeah.
helps me to see that, people really do like what I've got. And if
Yes.
it hadn't have been for, if I had just done it sooner, imagine how many more books I would have out there.
Yeah.
So,
Well, like you said, you have a lot of work in progress in your mind,
right,
right? So
exactly.
this is just the start for you. It's only going to go up.
Exactly. It's only going
So
to go up.
yes, and we're so excited to see how much more you create. And
Yes.
so let's jump into your books. But before we do that, I just want to reiterate, just make sure to like, comment, and subscribe so you don't miss any of our future interviews. It does help us. It does support us so much to continue to bring these authors and these interviews to you guys. So let's talk about Blue Haven, since we were already on that topic.
Okay.
It was your first book. So walk us through what that book is about.
So it is a book about a woman who is in a toxic family environment. She's had some health issues, and largely due to, just being in that environment. So she's found that she's been living her life for her family. And so she needs to find herself. She doesn't even know who she is. So she, spur of the moment, decides, you know what? I see this ad for a cabin by a lake. And
Sounds very relaxing.
she decides to move there. Turns out it's literally falling apart, barely holding itself up. And she needs a handyman for sure.
Of course.
But she finds peace there. And so while she's there, she ends up trying to find herself and find out how she can have a life that she is happy with and what things she likes, because there's been so much of her life that she spent living for other people and her family. So
that.
now she gets to find her own life and find her own voice. And when she's doing that, she happens to find a best friend. She reconnects with her best friend from high school, and then she also finds love.
Oh, that is so beautiful. I'm
Yes.
obsessed with the story. I love that.
Yes.
There's really like that theme of self-discovery,
Yes.
doing things for yourself. That's a beautiful message. And I love that your career started with that book.
Yes.
So what can readers expect going into reading it for the first time?
So they should expect that it is a typical romance. It's a book that is meant to help try to find yourself and find questions for yourself, and be able to also see steps you might be able to take for your, like, for instance, she starts having a panic attack. It has some ideas on how she should handle her panic attacks and what steps she could be taking to deal with that. There's also I don't know if too much of a spoiler, but there is a reference to an attempted essay, and so it's thwarted by the hero, who is able to stop everything. But in the process, it's because she has the courage to stand up and say, look, this almost happened, that other people were not saying anything.
Right.
And so because she stood up, other people then came forward and admitted that stuff happened. And it was because it kind of helps the reader to see that there's value in just speaking up too. And so
you're setting an example for maybe other people who
exactly.
don't want that. That's
so.
Oh my God, I'm loving this book. The more I'm learning about it, it's amazing. So you said you wrote it with your did you write it with your therapist or
I wrote it, and then my therapist kind of gave me some pointers as I
okay.
was going, just kind of, hey, that doesn't sound like something that fol- obviously I follow more of the dark romance
Yes.
vibe. So obviously taking knives to somebody isn't exactly the most
Cozy.
cozy feel good romance stuff. So I did have to talk with the therapist about, yeah, maybe we can cut back on some of that, and actually this is more of a healthy step and a healthy choice that we can do
Right.
to deal with our characters challenges.
How was that for you? Was it like, could you say, like, was it healing for you in that moment when you were
Very
yeah.
healing, because by having that feedback, I was in a 27-year marriage that ended, and I kind of felt I was I didn't know who I was, and so that happens typical for people who have been in long marriages like that, and so I needed to find my own self, and so that book, being able to picture what a healthy relationship and a healthy life was like, was one of the things that I needed, because I didn't know what it was like.
That's
I couldn't see it. And then being able to actually put those words to it was what helped me to be able to find that happiness for myself.
That's awesome. I love this. You guys have to check out this book. I'm fully convinced on it already. How was it different? Because you wrote that first, so you were already in that cozier love romance book setting. So how did you pivot and do something completely different and go into dark dystopian fantasy?
Well, as I said, I've had these books written for decades. So Escape from Media, it took me 3+ years to write, and I wrote those like 15 years ago. But it was named something completely differently. But we'll get
Oh,
to that.
okay.
But I knew the entire Aloria storyline at that time, and so I knew how that was going to go. I knew this. I have other series, and it's a world that I've had for decades. So it's this is what is natural to me,
Mhm,
is that fantasy romance
mhm.
field. And so the other story, it really helped me because it felt so real, because it is real life. And
Right.
so it actually helped improve my fantasy stories, because I could bring that feeling of realism that had been lacking in some of my previous edits.
Right, and that's awesome. I mean, like the your Blue Haven, your book, it helped you learn about yourself, heal yourself, and then you were ready to step into that path of
Exactly.
your current fantasy book. And that's amazing. I love that it's like that evolution as your
Yes.
books progress. That's fantastic. Oh my gosh. Well, let's talk about your series because Escape from Media is the first book, correct?
Right.
And Journey to Aloria is the second book. It just came out
Right.
like a month ago, I would say,
Yeah, beginning of
almost a month ago.
September. Yeah.
That's congratulations. Oh
Thank
my gosh,
you.
that's so exciting. Let's talk a little bit about what these books and this series is about.
Well, so the series is about a woman whose daughter had magic, and she was living in this city called Media, where they it's a non-magical city, and there's a book that it's a short story that I wrote, Liberators of Media. That one actually helps to explain how they came about this city.
So it's
um,
like a prequel.
it's a prequel,
Okay.
and so the the city is they're non-magical, and they don't want people with magic, and so they inject people who have magic with this microchip, because technology gives off a vibration or a frequency that makes magic go away. And
Oh.
so by doing that, they try to sometimes it actually kills the person who has the magic, but as the city of Media, their goal was, we just don't want people with magic, so if it kills them, oh well. And so it's not exactly the best city to live in if you do have magic. And so but if you're non-magical, it's a fantastic city, because you never have to worry about someone with magic being able to use it against you.
Mhm.
And so in that case, Malin, her daughter Ellie, she finds out that her daughter Ellie has magic, and but the way we find out about that is Will is actually he's a rogue smuggler who finds out he sees Ellie using magic and decides she looks just like his sister who had died. So he wants to protect Ellie at
Mhm.
all cost.
Mhm.
And being the rogue smuggler he is, and morally gray, he decides that the best way to make Malin uh, to save Ellie is to do a love con on Malin and convince her that she needs to leave with him because he's so fantastic.
Oh, okay.
And then he ends up falling in love with her.
Oh, so is it like an enemies to lovers kind of thing?
Um,
Reluctant allies to love?
well, kind of friends to lovers
Okay.
slash he's fooling her the whole time.
Okay.
uh,
Con to lovers?
con to lovers. Yeah,
Is that a new
is
trope
a
that we just
and
discovered?
yeah. So yeah, so he ends up falling for her, and then he helps her to unlock her own powers.
That is very interesting. So clearly, the magic system is a big part of the story. So
Huge.
walk us through what the magic system is like. Are people born with powers, or how does that
So
work?
magic in my world is it's kind of like the force. It's actual it's alive, and it considers people as like vessels that it can be hosted in.
Mm,
And so if you have the genetics to be able to have magic, it will try to go into you, unless of course you have one of these chips, in which case it does not like the frequency of that, so it tries
stays
to
to
avoid.
ah.
And so you can be born with some magic and then get more as you go, but it ends up being that there's different ways of using the magic.
Mhm.
There's spells and runes that's kind of like forcing the magic to do what you want, but then you can also just learn to work with the magic
Mhm.
and um, kind of the way the force would work. You just you kind of talk with it and kind of learn to become one with it. And then there's also the future book where we learn about ancestral magic, but that's a whole separate
We won't get too far into that.
thing.
Oh my god, that's really, really interesting. So how did the technology aspect come in? Like I love this. It's like a world of magic and then technology. So it's like versus. They're like versing
Right,
each other. So
exactly.
how did this came to be?
So in the Liberators of Media, the novella that I
Yes.
wrote,
Yeah.
the city of Media was a city that was ruled by slavers, and the slavers actually were magical, and they enslaved people with no magic or with limited magic. And so um, there was an uprising, and they decided that I'm going to make they realized that there's frequencies and technology that magic can't be around. And so that encouraged people to be more technological and be able to build that technology and technology base
Mhm.
so that they could be safer.
That is I love how your brain works. Oh my god, this is so
Like I said, I've been working on this world since
right.
high school. So it's I know all the details, and it's very difficult to share it all.
What would you say is the complexity of building a world like this? Like were there any challenges? I'm sure there were, but
Oh yes, there's definitely been a lot of challenges, and but I've got lots of stories that the that have helped to bring about this. So as we get farther into the series, we will learn more and more as they get published. But yes, I have this series. I have a series after this, and I have prequel series decades, and actually hundreds of years before. I even have another series that's thousands of years before.
But
So,
these are like they're in your mind, right?
oh
You
yeah.
haven't like
Well, no, I have them on paper.
Oh,
I
okay.
have them written. I just need to get them edited and finished.
Oh my gosh, that's hilarious.
Oh yes.
So let's talk a little bit about, you kind of gave us a little pitch of what the first book is about. What happens in this book is without it being, if you can say it without there being any spoilers. It's in order, correct?
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
okay.
So book one, they're trying to leave the city of Media, and as they're trying to leave the city of Media, they have their own challenges. Well, by book two, they are on a ship trying to get to the city of Aloria, which is kind of like the melting pot of the planet. And so they have, it's a safe place.
I was gonna say, is it safer?
That's what they've been told, is it is like the mecca of safeness and place where everybody is accepted, no matter whether you're non-magic or magic. And it's this like utopia is what it's kind of billed as. And so, so for book one, we're trying to get out of Media. Book two, we leave Media, but they run into some problems.
Great. There's always problems.
There's always problems. And pirates are one of the biggest problems that they run into.
There's pirates in book two.
There are definitely pirates in book two. There's sea monsters in book two. And then we start learning about the Order of Tamris. Which is a religious organization of a group that is, they worship a god named Tamris, who's actually a being who just lives a very long life. And we'll meet him in book three.
Okay, so you're giving us a lot of things about book three. So why don't we talk about book three? Is it in the works?
Oh yeah, well, I've already have a rough draft. It's now, I'm just kind of
tweaking it,
improving, expanding, and kind of growing, making sure to get all the storylines right and cleaned up, and finishing writing it basically. But I have it planned for a June 2026.
June 2026. Put it on your calendars, guys. All right.
But there's 5 books in this series.
I was going to say, how many books are we looking at here?
Yeah. So yeah, the next book is dealing with the Order of Tamris and trying to find a cure. And then book 4 will be dealing with the Alorian courts, because they do get to Aloria finally. It's Welcome to Aloria. And so
is that the title?
That's the title of the book, is Welcome to Aloria. And they get to Aloria and they find that maybe Aloria isn't as utopian as they thought.
Oh no.
And so
there's always something.
And so we learn a lot about that. And then by book 5, we close things out with trying to figure out how to find a happy place.
Is it fair to say that the series ends on a happy ever after?
The entire series will end on a happy ever after.
So
each book does end on a happy for now.
Oh, so you're the opposite of most authors, where they leave us on cliffhangers, but you're like, you know what, let me give them a moment to enjoy.
They have a moment. And that's part of the reason why Journey to Aloria is so long, was because it took me a while to get to that happy for now.
Happy for now, and then wait to the next book, and then all chaos breaks loose.
Yes.
Well, we will be here as you rip our heart out and then stitch it back together. I did want to ask you, throughout all of your writing, you have a background in statistics and finance, correct?
Well, yes, I do. I started this job in 2019.
Okay.
So that before that, I was a project manager, and then before that, I owned my own businesses. So I've had a very I did graphic web design, and I did a little bit of everything. I had a very long resume.
You have many talents, which is fantastic. I feel like we can use you for anything that we might need. But right now you're in finance, and
right.
Okay. I'm also in finance.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Just a fun fact. But I did want to ask, does your maybe not, does your background in statistics and finance come into the book at all, or maybe in web designing?
So I think what it does is I have I'm really good with details. So what I find is that with the statistics and finance, I you have to really be able to find little minute details, and that's what I try to add to my books. So as you'll find through the series and then through the other series, is that there are little Easter eggs that are hidden all in everywhere, because
Oh.
to other series as well as to this series. And so you'll kind of, if you really look at the minutia, you might notice some, why is that in there? That
Oh,
seems
interesting.
odd.
Okay. So you just drop a little bit here and there and say maybe they'll pick it up, maybe they won't.
Exactly. They might not notice. But somebody who's a true reader will kind of end up going back to some of those books and go, "Oh my gosh, wow, that was there."
Yeah, I love books like that when you're like reading it the first time and then you're like, "Oh my god, wait." And then you go back and you read it. You're like, "Yeah, it was
Yes.
right in front of us this whole time." I love
Yes.
books that make me feel like
So
that.
yes, I have a lot of those in scattered in my stories.
Love it. Fantastic. I'm here for it. Um, what has surprised you about writing these books? Is there anything that you were like in terms of fantasy or writing the genre? Was there anything that was like, whoa, I did not expect this?
Um, so as far as the darkness, I wasn't expecting that I was going to be getting as dark as I did in book two.
Really?
Um,
Okay.
I was expecting. I mean, action, blood, and gore. I kind of assumed that. I am an action fan. Every John Wick movie. I
Yes.
mean, I love a good cinematic action movie. If things
Yes.
aren't blowing up, I usually don't even watch the movie. But I was really I wasn't expecting where the story dragged me when
Fair.
we were doing
Mhm.
the dark romance part of Journey to Aloria. It definitely got very dark.
But it was like you weren't expecting it, right? You
Oh
weren't
no,
expecting to write.
I wasn't expecting that. That definitely, but you know, I go where the characters tell me they needed to go, and that was
Oh my
where they
god, do
needed to
they speak
go.
in your mind?
They do,
Oh my gosh.
100%.
I love hearing about this. How does I just we're gonna pivot a little bit, but how does that work for you? Because I love authors like they tell me their writing process. Like tell me.
So like I said, I actually have personality profiles. I know exactly
Mhm.
if I can tell you exactly what each character would do, say, how they would act, whether what their favorite colors are. I know every minutia detail about
Yes.
my characters,
Yes.
and I have come up with a lot of that when I as I'm writing. And so as doing that, I mean, I they're real to me. They as I'm
They're
writing this,
yours. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
and so that I know exactly what they're going to do.
Mhm.
And so if I get to a spot and I'm like, I want you to go that way, that it
Doesn't
didn't really
work.
feel
Yeah.
like going that way. And
Yeah.
so have to adjust accordingly.
You have to listen to what they're telling you, right?
Exactly,
Oh my god, I
because the
love that.
reader wants to find a real, they can't enjoy the story if they're, why would they do that?
Yeah, yeah, that makes sense. It's kinda like the reader is also speaking to you.
Mhm.
Is that fair? Is that fair to
Exactly.
say?
Yes.
Okay, okay, that makes sense. Um, well, that's wonderful. So I know that you have audiobooks for these. I think you have an audiobook for the first one, correct?
Well, they're planned.
Okay.
So I had originally planned for so my dream narrator
Mhm.
was Laura Horowitz.
Okay.
She has done the narration for so many of the books that I've loved to read. And so as I reached out to her and I was like, what's the chance she's going to say yes? She said yes.
She did.
She
That's
did. And
fantastic.
so, but after talking with her, she was like, your book is written in a dual POV. It would be really great if you have a dual POV audiobook. And she actually recommended Walker Williams, who's also an award-winning narrator. And so it's going to take us another month to try to get the additional
But it is gonna be
coordination,
dual
but
P.
it will be dual POV
Love
and it
it.
will be in January of this year. I'm sorry, of next year. Yeah,
2026. Yeah, I was gonna say
2026.
January passed already.
January 2026
So
is
for the first book, correct?
for the first book.
Yes.
And
Oh my
then
gosh.
she has it, we have it set for June, uh, August release of some in where in there where we'll be able to release Journey to Aloria.
Awesome. How has that like experience been for you? I know it's not
I am
easy
super
to
excited about it
Good,
because
great.
they sent me some samples of how they would sound. Oh my goodness, it's gonna be so amazing.
Is it exactly how you hear the characters in your
It
mind?
is,
Yeah.
yes. They definitely, especially Laura. I mean, her
Well, you really wanted
sound
her,
her
so
sound is exactly what I was looking
yeah.
for the character of Malin specifically. So 100%, I am thrilled about that.
Well, I am thrilled because I am an audiobook girly, so
Yes,
I will be
me too.
waiting. So you get it.
So
You get
that's
it.
why audiobook was very vital to me.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'm so excited. I can't wait to hear them bring the characters in this world to life. That's gonna be
Yes.
great. Is there any anticipation of doing an audiobook for Blue Haven or
I'm hoping eventually I
okay?
will be able to do that.
Okay.
I'm kind of working with a couple of different people. I haven't found somebody who I really think sounds like Cal or um, Vi yet. So I'm still working on that, but eventually I'll be able to do that.
All right. Well, it's not a no.
Right.
So
It's
we're
definitely not because I'm an audiobook person. I
yes.
definitely love a really
So
good
you're
audiobook.
vouching for us audiobook readers.
Definitely. Yes. And they were vital when it came to my choice.
Love it. Love it. Well, I'll be waiting for that notice.
Yes.
All right. Well, let's pull out a little bit and kind of talk about your journey and your future here. So you already said that you're working on all of the books, all the books. So you're primarily focused on the third book right now, or
Actually, so I am writing the third book. I kind of pieces, but what I'm really focused on right now is actually a novella, The Tomes of Morath. I had a
oh
few people who were really interested in hearing more details about the Order of Tamarisk and why they are such, because they do play such a huge part in the Welcome to Aloria. I thought that it would be a good idea to kind of release that.
yeah,
Why are they even after Will?
uh-huh.
Now they'll know.
I feel like you have a lot built already. It
Right.
gives you enough opportunity for spin-offs and
Right.
prequels and novellas. So that's awesome.
But like the Tomes of Narath, I had some details,
Mhm.
but like I mean, I knew the name of the city. I knew the general. Like, they're in a citadel with a city outside,
Mhm.
but the layout of the actual citadel. So I've had to do research on what Egyptian tombs look like, so that I can figure out how they would set something up like that, and
Yeah.
the Indiana Jones kind of type of physical challenges and things like that. So I've
Yeah.
had to do my share of homework on a lot of that to
Well,
get
it
there.
takes a
But
lot of research, but
yes, and I've got a whole Ocean's 8 type thing going. They got a whole team of people who are trying to steal the tome, so we have to try to get through that
ooh,
whole story, and it's a challenge.
yeah. Oh my god, I'm so excited for that. That sounds
Yeah,
so
it should be a really
intriguing.
good.
Yes,
Yeah.
I am so invested in this. What would you say your writing journey has taught you so far? Because you said you've been writing for a long time, but you're officially published for almost a year now.
Right.
So what have you learned through writing?
I have learned that there you can just put stuff out there, but to really be able to feel good about what you have out there, sometimes you do have to invest in a good book cover artist. I have Angel Lee Van Alman, who did these two book covers, and I did this one myself, but
You designed that cover?
I designed, that's my art.
Oh, that's
um,
awesome. Look
but
at that.
um but but for these two, I mean, the gear is my art, but I got her to really help me on that, and I think that was money well worth it. That I feel, I love these covers, and I think she did an amazing job
Yeah,
there.
she did. She really
Yeah,
did.
and then So I like a good editor. It was a challenge trying to
Mhm.
find a good editor. I ended up talking with a couple of different authors who I really respect and I really love their work, and I found their editors, and that's now I have Jennifer Windrow who does my editing, and she is amazing. And my writing is definitely improving now because of finding a good editor. But trying to find that, I mean, I do graphic web design, but I thought I could put together a cover of my own, but finding an actual cover
Yeah.
designer was worth it. It
Yeah.
costs a little more, but you know,
But they know what they're doing. I feel
exactly,
that
they know what they're doing,
that's what
and
they do,
yeah, and
so
so trying. Although there's there's so many people out there who say you can do it all your own, you can, but if you can find somebody who can really help you with it,
yeah.
I think you get a better quality product out of it. And so I'm really glad that I have taken the time with these two to really I've invested a lot in them,
Yeah.
and I wasn't expecting all of that investment. I was hoping I could do it all myself,
Mhm.
but trying to find that is a challenge,
Yeah.
but there's so much you can do on your own,
Mhm, mhm.
that it's a matter of just kind of learning and watching videos and trying to figure out how to do stuff on your own as much as possible. But there's definite value in trying to get feedback. Also, I know I've talked with like Golden Angel.
Mhm.
I've gotten her to kind of review a few things, just kind of getting feedback from some other professionals on my
Yeah.
process to make sure I've got a marketing strategy that makes sense overall and things
Well,
like
one
that.
thing I've learned through doing these interviews is that the self-public, like the indie author community, is fantastic.
Yeah,
They will let you lean on them for
right.
support, and they are always there to help you. So I
Mhm.
feel like it's great that you ask
Yes,
for help because you can't do it all on your own. But there's people that are willing to help you and are
right,
so open to sharing their resources with you.
right.
So I love learning about the author community. You guys really
Yes,
hold each other down, and that's
that has
amazing.
definitely been. I cannot say enough about. I'm the Maryland Romance Authors Group, I writers group. I've been working with them now for a while, and they have just been fantastic. Their
Yeah.
forum, we have so many great conversations, and I think and we've shared a lot of good information, and I think that's largely, helped me. And going to events and talking with other authors has
Yeah.
really helped me too. So
Networking, it's so
exactly.
important. It's amazing. I love that. Um, is there anything because you said it's been challenging, like there will always be challenges, right?
Right.
But is there anything that you would tell yourself back before you even published Blue Haven, for example? Is there anything that you would tell yourself knowing what you know now, 9 months later?
Well, other than just publish sooner and get something out there,
Yes.
I think learning about the whole ISBN process,
Hmm.
and how to go about doing that and which order to do things in, I had no clue. I mean, there's a lot to learn,
Yeah.
and as much as, I mean, I've spent decades now knowing that my retirement career was going to be as an author. I've spent my life learning how to write better. I've spent my life, I used to manage a task where we did publicity. I managed a task where we did marketing.
Hmm.
I know how to do some of these things,
Hmm.
but the writing community, to the author community, to be it, there's just so many little facets to it
Yeah.
that you don't really
Yeah.
realize are there until you've gone through it. If I
Yeah.
had just started sooner, or really started networking sooner, I
Hmm.
think that would have helped me a lot.
Well, it's never too late, and
Exactly.
now you know, and I feel like you already have a bunch of people behind you
Very much
supporting you,
so.
so
Yes.
that's great, and I'm so happy you have that community to help
Yes.
you and support you on your journey. Well, I have one last question for you.
Sure.
If you can give one piece of advice to aspiring authors or even authors that publish their very first book and they're still in the very, very beginning stages, what advice would you give them?
um, just try to realize that writing the book isn't the biggest part of it. It's not the hardest part. As much as it is important to have a book that people enjoy reading, the fact is if you don't get have marketing, you're not going to be able to get the word out there. If you don't have SEO, you're not going to be able to get the word out there.
Mhm.
Luckily, I had an Etsy shop, or I have an Etsy shop, so I learned SEO ages ago. But if I hadn't have done so many different things, there's so many different parts of life that go into writing a book that you just don't even realize.
Mhm.
So just try to learn as much as you can,
Yeah.
try to incorporate as much as you can, and just do your best, but realize that it's never going to be 100% perfect. You just kind of have to take the step and just do it.
Yeah, no, and I know a lot of authors have told us that some people love writing the book, but then they don't realize that it's everything. It's promotion, it's
Mhm.
marketing, it's finding a cover artist, it's,
Right.
pushing all the printing costs and everything. So it's a lot. It's your own business, right?
Exactly.
So it's hard, but I know the writing is what pushes you guys because you love to do it. So it's like, okay,
Right.
if I have to do everything else, at least I get to have my little story.
Right.
So I love that. But yes, that is very good advice. And I appreciate you for saying that. Well, Brandy, that's all I had for you. Thank you
Excellent.
so much for joining us today.
Yes. It's
For
been
our
fantastic.
Yes, for our viewers, if they want to go and support you, where can they find you and where can they go to support your books?
I'm pretty much on every social media, including Lemon, TikTok, Pinterest, Instagram.
Lemon?
Lemon, yeah. Um, uh,
It's a TikTok thing, right?
no, it's its own little thing.
Listen, I don't
And
know TikTok. I don't have time for lemons. Like
I just recently learned about TikTok, so hey, so Facebook, I've got it, but I also have my website, brandystoker.com.
and we will include all these in the description. So
Yeah, and so I have I'm pretty much out there.
and your books can be found on your website and
They links to where they can get my books. I haven't actually started selling them on my website yet, but my special editions with the foil and sprayed edges will be out in December.
you had me at sprayed edges.
So those will be. I will have them on my website I will have my website up and running by that point.
All
So
right,
I'll
so
be
stay
able
tuned
to
for
do
that.
that.
All right, awesome. And to everyone watching, thank you so much for tuning into this episode of Tales in Focus. If you want to follow us on social media, we are on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, pretty much all of it. We're not on lemons though. I don't know what that is. At TBR Trio, and make sure to like, comment, and subscribe to this video and to our YouTube channel. It does help us out. It's just one little click and it's free, which we love. Yeah, and that's it from us. We'll see you next time to find out what other tales TBR tells.
Yay!